Storm over Warlock by Andre Norton. Chapter 16. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For further information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by R.J. Davis. Storm over Warlock by Andre Norton. Chapter 16. Third Prisoner. Well, it works as good as new. Shan held his hand and arm out into the full path of the sun. He had just stripped off the skin-cased bandage to show the raw seam of a half-healed scar, but as he flexed muscles, bent and twisted his arm, there was only a small residue of soreness left. Now what or where? He asked Thorvald with some eagerness. Several days' imprisonment in this room had made him impatient for the outer world again. Like the officer, he now wore breeches of the green fabric, the only material known to the wyverns, and his own badly worn boots. Oddly enough, the Terran's weapons, stunner and knife, had been left to them, a point which made them uneasy, since it suggested that the wyverns believed they had nothing to fear from clumsy alien arms. Your guess is as good as mine, Thorvald answered that double question. But it is you they want to see. They insisted upon it, rather emphatically in fact. The Wyvern City existed as a series of cell-like hollows in the interior of a rock-walled island. Outside, there had been no tampering with the natural rugged features of the escarpment, and within, the silence was almost complete. For all the Terrans could learn, the population of the stone-walled hive might have been several thousand, or just the handful that they had seen with their own eyes along the passages which had been declared open territory for them. Shan half expected to find again a skull-wall chamber where witches tossed colored sticks to determine his future. But he came with Thorvald into an oval room in which most of the outer wall was a window, and seeing what lay framed in that, Shan halted, again uncertain as to whether he actually saw that, or whether he was willed into visualizing a scene by the choice of his hostesses. They were lower now than the room in which he had nursed his wound, not far above water level. And this window faced the sea. Across a stretch of green water was his red-purple skull, the waves lapping his lower jaw, spreading their foam in between the gaping rock fringe which formed its teeth. And from the eye hollows flapped the clack-clacks of the sea coast, coming and going as if they carried to some imprisoned brain within that giant bone case messages from the outer world. My dream, Shan said. Your dream. Thorvald had not echoed that. The answer had come in his brain. Shan turned his head and surveyed the wyvern awaiting them with a concentration which was close to the rudeness of an outright stare, a stare which held no friendship. For by her skin patterns, he knew her for the one who had led the Trimmer who had sent him into the cavern of the mist. And with her was the younger witch he had trapped on the night that all this baffling action had begun. We meet again, he said slowly. To what purpose? To our purpose, and yours. I do not doubt that it is to yours. The Terran's thought fell easily now into a formal pattern he would not have used with one of his own kind. But I do not expect any good to me. There was no readable expression on her face. He did not expect to see any. But in their uneven mind touch, he caught a fleeting suggestion of bewilderment on her part, as if she found his mental processes as hard to understand as a puzzle with few leading clues. We mean you no ill, Star Voyager. You are far more than we first thought you, for you have dreamed false and have known. Now dream true and know it also. Yet, he challenged, you would set me a task without my consent. We have a task for you, but already it was set in the pattern of your true dreaming. And we do not set such patterns, Starman. That is done by the greatest power of all. Each lives within her appointed pattern from the first awakening to the final dream. So we do not ask of you any more than that which is already laid for your doing. She arose with that languid grace which was a part of their delicate jeweled bodies and came to stand beside him, a child in size, making his torn flesh and bones awkward, clod-like in contrast. She stretched out her 4-digit hand, her slender arm ringed with gemmed circles and bands, measuring it against his own, bearing that livid scar. We are different, Starman, yet still are we both dreamers, and dreams hold power. Your dreams brought you across the dark which lies between sun and distant sun. Our dreams carry us on even stranger roads, and yonder, one of her fingers stiffened to a point, indicating the skull, there is another who dreams with power, a power which will destroy us all unless the pattern is broken speedily. And I must go to seek this dreamer. His vision of climbing through that nose hole was to be realized then. You go. Thorvald stirred, and the wyvern turned her head to him. Alone, she added, for this is your dream only. As it has been from the beginning, there is for each his own dream, and another cannot walk through it to alter the pattern, even to save a life. Shan grinned crookedly, without humor. It seems that I'm elected, he said, as much to himself as to Thorvald. But what do I do with this other dreamer? What your pattern moves you to do, save that you do not slave him. Throg? Thorvald started forward. You can't just walk in on a Throg, barehanded, and be bound by orders such as that. The wyvern must have caught the sense of that vocal protest, for her communication touched them both. We cannot deal with that one as his mind is closed to us. Yet, he is an elder among his kind, and his people have been searching land and sea for him since his air rider broke upon the rock, and he entered into hiding over there. Make your peace with him if you can, and also take him hence, for his dreams are not ours, and he brings confusion to the reachers when they retire to run the trials of seeking. Must be an important Throg, Shan deduced. They could have an officer of the beetle heads under wraps over there. Could we use him to bargain with the rest? Thorvald's frown did not lighten. We've never been able to establish any form of contact in the past, though our best qualified minds, reinforced by training, have tried. Shan did not take fire at that rather delicate estimate of his own lack of preparation for the carrying out of diplomatic negotiations with the enemy. He knew it was true. But there was one thing he could try, if the wyverns permitted. Will you give a disk of power to this Starman? He pointed to Thorvald. For he is my elder one, and a reacher for knowledge. With such a focus his dream could march with mine when I go to the Throg, and perhaps that can aid in my doing what I could not accomplish alone. For that is the secret of my people, Elder One. We linked our powers together to make a shield against our enemies, a common tool for the work we must do. And so it is with us also, Star Voyager. We are not so unlike as the foolish might think. We learned much of you while you both wandered in the place of false dreams. But our power discs are our own and cannot be given to a stranger while their owners live. However, she turned again with an abruptness foreign to the usual wyvern manner and faced the older Terran. The officer might have been obeying an unvoiced order as he put out his hands and laid them palm to palm on those she held up to him, bending his head so gray eyes met golden ones. The web of communication which had held all three of them snapped. Thorvald and the wyvern were linked in a tight circuit which excluded Shan.